Yo, I'm Bob, totally blind since birth into Star Wars, talking about Andor Episode 10 on Disneyplus. This one's called One Way Out. Spoilers ahead. Watch the episode before listening to my thoughts unless you really want to get spoiled. That being said, jumping right in, and you were warned. I love the payoff in this episode. We have seen Andor, Kino, Melshi, all the other inmates under the heel of the warden and the guards, the voice of God on Narkina 5, and it is payback time in this episode. And it really doesn't take much convincing from Andor to get Kino to come around. He's just learned, of course, in the previous episode that, oh, no one's getting out of here. This is a labor camp. We are used up until we can't work anymore. And then we just have to die here. So, I mean, we've seen Kino being, I would say, somewhat optimistic. And now he is a very desperate man. He has been working for nothing. And all he wants is to get out of there. I wonder what they sentenced him there for. We know that, I would say, a pretty good bit of these sentences are just BS. Stuff the Empire has made up so they can have a cheap labor force here. So, I mean, yeah, we've heard Melshi and some of the other prisoners rumbling about, oh, we're not getting out of here. But Andor, I think he has really started this snowball effect because then we see Kino telling the other prisoners, you know, when they're wondering what the fuss is, what happened to Olaf, he's like, hey guys, yeah, we're not getting out of here. No one's getting out of here. We need to come up with an escape plan or we're going to die in here. They have fried a whole bunch of guys on level 2 and we're not going to be released. So you've got everybody burning the midnight oil on Narkina 5. I do love that scene on Coruscant where we get to see the ISB. Empire scenes are pretty cool in my book. And when I watched this episode for the first time, I didn't think that much about Lonnie Young. He's just kind of been there in the background. Okay? So, I mean, he's the guy who's letting everybody know, oh, yeah, about this rebel pilot, why don't we just feign interest so Krieger and his boys won't be too suspicious? And I'm like, yeah, that is kind of cool. Way to go, guy. I'd forgotten what this guy's name was. The audio description track did point his name out. But I was very distracted with the prison break. I didn't really think much about this character at all. I was also distracted with the visuals in this episode, now that I can be, because of audio description in this day and age. So I really didn't think too much about this character. I really wanted to see more of what was going on Narkina 5. Then we got to see that brief scene with Mon Mothma and Davo. We got to meet the loan shark in this episode. So I'm thinking we're not done with this character because he knows Perrin. We did get that little bit where he's like, oh yeah, I met your husband a couple times. It's like, okay. How do you know Perrin? What do you guys have to do with each other? What have you been talking about? And so, you know, you're led to think that maybe Mon is going to consider his offer because he's like, yeah, we can bundle your finances in a way that the Empire won't figure out what's going on. That's no problem. And she's like, yeah, but what's the catch? He's like, well, I got a 14-year-old son. You got a 13-year-old daughter. Let's have a meet. We're all Chandrillan and all, and you know, tradition. So she's not having any of that. She basically says, all right, Tay will show you out. Bye-bye. But I'm thinking we're not done with this guy. I am thinking Perrin is somehow going to get wind of what Mon's been up to. Who knows? Maybe he has been kind of talking with Davo about this in the past. I don't know. I can't wait to see how they've known each other and what they've been talking about. But yeah, I think Perrin is going to somehow get wind of what Mon's been up to. I don't know that for sure. Maybe, maybe not. You never know what's going to happen in Andor. I really like the writing in the show quite a bit. Yeah, he's going to find out what Mon's up to. Either that, or she might just take the offer. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think people do a lot of questionable things in this show. Not much going on with the Ferric stuff in this episode. We know Marva is not taking her meds. She won't take them and we don't get to see her. We do see her in the recap there at the beginning of the episode, all wheezing, but we don't see that in the episode at all. We just kind of hear about her. So I'm thinking, all right, when is she going to sacrifice herself? That's coming. I don't think she's going to die in bed. I think she's going to die doing something for the rebellion there on Ferrix. That's I'd say that's pretty much a no-brainer there. So we get to the big prison break, and I love the action scene. We have Andor unleashing water from a water pipe there. We got two of the prisoners, I think it's Ham and some other guy, I can't remember his name. They stage a fight. You've got the guards. They're trying to get everybody to get on program. I like that one guy who's just bellowing, "Oi! You lot get back on program now!" He's just, screaming at them. And that's when everyone starts throwing these ratchets and other tools that they've gathered. And it is one of my favorite action scenes. I love fight scenes in Star Wars, especially when they're described. I've seen this about 5 times. I really enjoy watching videos and reading tweets and, different comments about the episode. I like that it does have audio description, but there's only so much that the narrator and these audio description scripts can point out. I think they just point out what they have time to point out. That's why I like the eagle eyes, as Aaron Alston used to say in the Legends books. I think Michael A. Stackpole might have mentioned that a time or two too. I like the eagle eyes of other Star Wars fans because they tend to point out things that some folks may have missed in the fight scene. Things like that. But it was a really cool scene there. I like where Cassian just punches one guy in the face. He's blasting guards. And yeah, they do eventually get to the command center where the voice of God is. And I'm kind of glad he didn't turn out to be K2SO. I was thinking maybe it might turn out to be him. Like the first time I heard that voice over the microphone, but I was like, nah, it's probably going to turn out to be just some random goofball somewhere in the prison. And that's exactly who he is. He's just some random guy behind a microphone. It's not an AI, like central computer or anything like that. It's just a random dude talking into a microphone using a scary voice. And it kind of gave me a pay no attention to that man behind the curtain vibe from, the Wizard of Oz whenever we see this guy. And so you've got them cutting the power. You have Kino who gets on the mic and he lets everybody in the prison know what's going on. He lets everybody know that they're all going to die there unless they get out of there. He drops the news on them. And I still wish I knew why I got to liking this character when we first met him. He just seems like a really decent guy, especially where he says, look, there are going to be people who are lost and confused. You need to help them get moving, help them keep moving until we all get out of here. If you see somebody, you help them get out of here. And they all start chanting, one way out, one way out, one way out. And there's this one scene where, these guys are working just another shift for them, but they see this water kind of dripping down to their table. And then you've got, all the prisoners who started the breakout. They run by other prisoners and they're like, hey, come join us. We're all getting out of here. Let's all leave. And then you've got the scene toward the end of the episode where Kino, once they get to that big platform overlooking the sea, he utters 3 of the most heartbreaking words in the episode. He sees all that water and he's like, I can't swim. So he is left behind. And I hope we're not done with the character. I'm not going to be surprised if he is gunned down. I mean, this show, they spare no one. I mean, you never know who's going to bite it week to week, I would say. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe that's it for him. I really like Andy Serkis' performance here in Star Wars. I think it's probably just me being more of an Andy Serkis fan since I've seen him in other things and listened to him reading Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that stuff. But what a cool performance by that guy. I think the coolest part of the episode was when the audio description track, it pointed out a figure heading toward a seedy part of Coruscant there, toward the elevators, pipes, all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Young, isn't it? Before they even said his name, I kind of figured it was him, and I was thinking, oh, okay, he's the him that Luthen had pointed out earlier in the episode. We do get that one scene where Luthen is told, oh, he wants to meet you. He's left a mark on the fountain there. And so Luthen, he and Young, they're meeting, and we find out, yep, this guy, he's a double agent. And it's one of the coolest scenes in Andor so far. I love Stellan Skarsgard's performance here. This guy, Lonnie, he's tired of leading a double life. And he's in disbelief when Luthen says, oh, yeah, about Krieger and his 50 men, we're gonna have to sacrifice them. We're gonna have to trick the ISB into thinking that there is no security leak. We're gonna have to let this raid be a debacle for these guys. And he's like, by the way, I mean, you have a daughter, so this is another way that she'll get to spend time with her father. Because if they find out you had a hand in this, you're done. So these guys are dying, so your daughter and you can have time together. They're dying so you can be a family. And the best part was when Luthen delivered that speech. I don't have it memorized. I guess I'll try to post a link to that video in which he does deliver the speech. I think there's probably a video on YouTube in which someone has him talking about exactly what he sacrificed, because there toward the end of the episode we have Lonnie asking him, well, what have you sacrificed? All these other men, they sacrifice a lot, but what about you? And I love that bit of dialogue from Luthen. I'm not even going to try to parrot it because I can't. It just basically boils down to everything. I mean, there's no telling what this guy's had to do over the years. I think I mentioned that in an earlier video, wanting to know exactly what this guy has lost, what Luthen has lost over the years, who he's had to let go of. Just a really interesting character. And of course we get to see Andor and Melshi and some of the other guys there at the end of the episode, and they've made it to a beach, but getting off world, that's going to be a different story. I'm wondering if we're going to spend a lot of time with them trying to commandeer a ship in the next episode. We've only got 2 of these episodes left to go. And I love the way these episodes leave you speculating. It reminds me of watching Spider-Man and the X-Men animated series, respectively, in the 90s. You could not binge this show when you watched it the first time. You had to stick with the recaps. You had to talk about it with other fans back in the day. And then that was it. So it's fun to... How does Stephen King put it in the foreword of his Green Mile serial novel? He says you have to wait to figure out the next twist of the snake or something like that. And I think that's a lot of fun. Getting excited, having something to look forward to once a week. It really takes Star Wars back to kind of what George based it on, those old Flash Gordon serials. I've never seen any of them, but, when it comes to serialized television, you had to wait a pretty good bit to see what was going to happen next, or hear what would happen next if you listen to old radio drama serials back in the day. And I think that's one thing I like about Andor. It really feels like an epic serialized bit of storytelling. Now, I do want more action scenes, but I think we'll probably be getting a lot more of that in season 2. I really like when we get them, because you really are, as I said in another video, emotionally invested in these characters. So I really liked this one quite a bit. Hoping Kino Loy is still around. I hope we're not done with him. I guess we'll be talking about episode 11 next week. Hopefully this will be out a couple days after One Way Out aired. I'm going to try to post it on a Friday instead of way ahead on Andor Eve. Anyway, may the force be with you guys. I'll hear you next time.